Hello, welcome to my channel Bioacademy. Today we are going to talk about the nervous system, one of the most complex of our human body system. The nervous system is classified into two major divisions, the central nervous system or the CNS and the peripheral nervous system. As you can see here, the central nervous system consists of the brain and the spinal cord. The peripheral nervous system consists of the nerves. It can be the cranial nerves, the spinal nerves, or the peripheral nerves. This picture shows you not only the brain and the spinal cord, which belong to the central nervous system, but also the nerves and the plexus, which belong to the peripheral nervous system. As you can see here, there are 31 pairs of the spinal nerves, including the cervical nerves, thoracic nerves, lumbar nerve, and sacral nerves. We also have the plexus. Plexus is a large network of nerves in the peripheral nervous system. We have the cervical plexus, brachial plexus. The brachial means arm. And we also have the lumbosacral plexus. On the right hand, you can see the cranial nerves. We have 12 pairs of cranial nerves from 1 to 12. The cranial nerves can carry impulses between the brain and the head and neck. The one exception is the 10th cranial nerve. It is also known as the vagus nerve. It carries messages to and from the neck, the chest, and the abdomen. In terms of the spinal nerve, they carry messages between the spinal cord and the chest, the abdomen, and extremities. The spinal and the cranial nerve are composed of the nerves that have the body respond to changes in outside world. They include sense receptor and sensory nerves, or also known as afferent nerve, that carry messages related to changes in the environment toward the spinal cord and the brain. So it is shown here as the blue color, sensory nerve fiber to the brain. We also have the motor or efferent nerves, which travel from the spinal cord and the brain to muscles, the body, to tell them how to respond. For example, when you touch a hot stove, temperature and pain receptor in the skin stimulate afferent nerve, which carry messages toward the spinal cord and brain, and then the message is conveyed to efferent nerve in the spinal cord, which then activate voluntary muscles to pull your hand away from the stove. In addition to the spinal and cranial nerves, the peripheral nervous system also contains a large group of nerves that function automatically or without conscious control. These peripheral nerves belong to the autonomic nervous system. This system of nerve fibers carries impulses away from the CNS to the glands, heart, blood vessels, and involuntary muscles found in the wall of tubes, like the intestine, and hollow organs, like the stomach and urinary bladder. Some of the autonomic nerves are the sympathetic nerves, and others are the parasympathetic nerves. The sympathetic nerve can stimulate the body in time of stress and crisis, and we also know the function of the sympathetic nerves is to fight or flight. In addition, The sympathetic neuron can also stimulate the adrenal gland to secrete epinephrine or adrenaline, while also inhibiting the intestinal contraction to slow the digestion. The parasympathetic nerves normally act like a balance for the sympathetic nerves. Here are some examples about the response of the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. For the sympathetic nervous system, whenever you face to the stress or crisis, it leads to the pupils dilating or salivation inhibiting, and also it increase the respiration or it induce bronchiopastis dilating. It also increase the heart rate, increase secretion by the sweat glands, and it induce the goosebump, one kind of hair follicle raise. It induce the goosebump. Also, it secretes the adrenal hormone and it inhibits the digestion. And finally, it induces bladder muscle relax. On the opposite, the parasympathetic nervous system induces pupil constricting, salivation stimulating, decreased respiration, bronchiopastis constricting, decrease the heart rate, digestion stimulating, and bladder muscle contracting. The response of the parasympathetic nervous system is also known as rest or digest, whereas the response of the sympathetic nervous system is known as fight or flight. To sum up with our lesson today, just look at the figure. The nervous system is divided into the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system, which is in pink color here, it contains the brain and the spinal cord, whereas the peripheral nervous system contains the cranial nerve. There are 12 pairs. Spinal nerves, there are 21 pairs, and the autonomic nerves. The autonomic nerves is then divided into the parasympathetic nerves and the sympathetic nerves. The response of the sympathetic nervous system is well known as fight or flight, whereas the parasympathetic nerve is related to rest or digest. And finally, the nervous system helps our body to coordinate all of the activity. This is the basic knowledge for our nervous system, and hopefully you like it.